Hey everyone, ready to dive into a topic that's seriously cool, even if it doesn't sound like it at first. We're talking endocrinology today.
Yeah, hormones. They're behind the scenes controlling so much, and when they're out of whack, you get some wild medical mysteries. The kind of stuff that makes you realize how much these little messengers impact us.
Okay, so before we get to like biblical giants and wrestlers and stuff, one case our listener sent really stuck with me. It was about a diabetic foot ulcer treated with maggots. Sounds crazy, right? But also kind of genius.
It really shows how serious diabetes and its complications are. These ulcers, they're a bear to treat because of nerve damage, bad circulation. Sometimes you even lose the foot.
Intense. So where do hormones come in?
This all goes back to the pancreas. It's a two-for-one organ exocrine, meaning it does digestive enzymes, but also endocrine, meaning it makes hormones specifically for blood sugar control. That's where diabetes comes in.
So it's juggling digestion and the internal communication. Efficient. And those hormones, they're the ones keeping blood sugar in check, right?
Exactly. Inside the pancreas, there are these islets of Langerhans. They have alpha cells making glucagon to raise blood sugar, and beta cells making insulin to lower it.
Like a constant balancing act.
Exactly. Now, diabetes throws that balance off. Either not enough insulin is being made or the body just ignores it. And that's when you see those nasty ulcers and other problems.
Got it. So about the different types of diabetes, type 1, type 2, what's the deal and how do they relate to this insulin problem?
Type 1 is autoimmune. Your own body attacks those beta cells, the insulin factories in the pancreas.
So no more insulin being made. That's rough.
It is. People with type 1 need insulin for life, injections, pumps to manage it. Type 2 is trickier. It's slower, usually in adults, tied to things like obesity, not moving enough, and genes.
What about insulin in type 2 then?
Could be a couple things. Sometimes the pancreas doesn't make enough. Other times the body's resistant, like the insulin key's there, but the lock's all rusty.
Both types mean high blood sugar in the end, though.
You got it. That's the danger. Over time, high blood sugar damages blood vessels, nerves, heart disease, kidney problems, vision loss, even that foot ulcer we talked about.
A chain reaction throughout the body. So those maggots they were cleaning up because the body couldn't heal itself fast enough.
Exactly. Maggot therapy sounds medieval, but it's making a comeback, especially for stubborn wounds. Sterile maggots, they debride, eating the dead tissue, helping things heal. Sometimes the old ways work.
Okay, that's cool and kind of gross, but in a good way. But before we go too far down that road, remember those stories about giants? What's the link between those and like modern hormone stuff?
Isn't it fascinating? Those ancient giant stories, they might actually be early descriptions of gigantism, which we know now is from too much growth hormone.
Like Goliath from the Bible. You think he had a medical condition?
It's possible. Gigantism happens when the pituitary gland, tiny thing in the brain, makes too much growth hormone before puberty. Hence, excessive growth, sometimes crazy tall.
Like Robert Wadlow, right? Tallest guy ever, over 8'11". Imagine trying to live in a world not built for you like that.
Really makes you think. Shows how powerful hormones are, even in tiny amounts. But the ancient link doesn't stop there. Think about Andre the Giant, the wrestler. He had acromegaly, not gigantism.
Acromegaly, yeah, I've heard of it. Also too much growth hormone, right?
Right, but different timing. Acromegaly is after puberty, so bones thicken instead of lengthening. That's why Andre had that prominent brow, big hands, that distinct look.
So one tiny gland can completely change your appearance.
Totally. And it's all about timing. Same hormone, but excess at different times means very different outcomes.
So maybe those old stories, even if exaggerated, were really early observations of real medical stuff that we now understand through endocrinology.
Exactly. Shows how far we've come in understanding the body, but also how we build on the questions of those who came before us. It's like, even back then, people were trying to understand the body, even without the science we have now.
Makes you wonder what people will think of our ideas in the future, huh?
And what mysteries we're still getting wrong today.
Right. So we've done pancreas, pituitary gland. What other endocrine superstars are on the list?
Well, since we're talking about glands going a bit haywire, let's do the thyroid. Little butterfly-shaped thing in your neck, makes hormones, mainly T3 and T4. They're like your body's thermostat controlling metabolism.
How fast we burn energy, basically.
Exactly. But it's more than just that. Thyroid hormones, they impact a ton of temperature, heart rate, even your mood, your energy.
And like the others, too much or too little causes problems, I bet.
Bingo. Overactive thyroid, that's hyperthyroidism. It's like your metabolism's stuck on fast forward. Racing heart, weight loss, even if you're eating fine, always feeling hot.
That's exhausting.
It can be. Then there's the opposite, underactive hypothyroidism, slows your metabolism down. Tired all the time, weight gain, always cold.
Goldilocks syndrome? Gotta be just right.
Nailed it. Lots can mess it up too. Sometimes it's autoimmune, like Graves' disease. Body attacks the thyroid, too many hormones get made.
That's the one with the bulging eyes, right?
Yeah, that one. Plus the fast heart rate, the weight loss we talked about, all that extra hormone surging around.
What about hypothyroidism then? What causes that?
In the US, mostly Hashimoto's thyroiditis, another autoimmune one, but this time the attack damages the gland, so not enough hormone gets made.
Our immune system's got a mind of its own, making too much or too little sometimes.
Shows you how complex it is trying to keep everything in balance.
Speaking of which, can't forget the parathyroid glands. Tiny, usually 4 of them, hanging out on the back of the thyroid.
Parathyroids. Those haven't come up yet, have they?
They get overshadowed, but they're vital for calcium. And calcium, that's important for like everything. Muscles, nerves, strong bones, you name it.
How do such small glands control something so big then?
Parathyroid hormone, PTH. When calcium's low, PTH gets released. It's like a little alarm going off. Need more calcium, stat.
And then what?
Whole chain reaction. PTH tells the bones to release calcium, the gut to absorb more, even the kidneys to hold on to it instead of peeing it out. Multitasking.
PTH, the overachiever hormone. Pretty much. And you guessed it, too much or too little PTH, more problems.
Got to stay in the sweet spot, right?
Exactly. Too much PTH is hyperparathyroidism. Body's hoarding calcium like crazy. That leads to hypercalcemia, too much calcium in the blood, kidney stones, bone pain, even messed up thinking, fatigue.
So low PTH, hypoparathyroidism, that can't be good either, right?
Nope. Often happens from damage during surgery, actually. Leads to hypocalcemia, low blood calcium, muscle cramps, spasms, even seizures if it's bad enough, like the body's wiring short-circuiting without enough calcium.
Mind blown that these tiny things we never think about can cause so much trouble.
Our bodies are wild. Everything's connected. Each system relies on the others. It's amazing.
And speaking of connected systems, let's talk about the stress managers. The adrenal glands, those are the ones above the kidneys, right? Fight or flight and all that.
You got it. Adrenal glands are like your personal alarm system, always on the lookout for trouble.
Right.
They're in 2 parts, the cortex, the outer layer, and the medulla, the inner part.
Each part has its own thing it's good at, yeah.
Yep. The cortex makes corticosteroids. That includes mineralocorticoids like aldosterone.
Aldosterone, that sounds familiar.
We talked about it. It balances salt and water, which affects blood pressure. Remember Conn's syndrome? Too much aldosterone?
Right. Conn syndrome. High blood pressure because the kidneys hold on to all that extra salt and water.
Nailed it. So besides those, the cortex also makes glucocorticoids, most famous one. Cortisol, the stress hormone.
Cortisol, that's what gives us that energy boost when something's stressful, right? Fight or flight time.
Exactly. Cortisol helps us deal with stress, whatever it is, raises blood sugar for quick energy to your muscles, your brain, even suppresses the immune system so it doesn't overreact to the stress.
Short bursts of cortisol, good. Hanging out with high cortisol all the time, not so much.
100%. Now, the cortex also makes a tiny bit of androgens. Those are involved in male sex characteristics, like testosterone.
Wait, don't women have androgens too?
They do, but way less of them. So while the cortex is doing all that salt, stress, even a touch of sex hormones, the medulla, the inner part, it's got one main job. Adrenaline.
Adrenaline, that's the heart-racing, sweaty palms feeling when you got to do a presentation or go on a first date.
That's the one. Epinephrine, that's adrenaline's other name, and its buddy norepinephrine, they're the let's go hormones. Stress hits, boom, heart rate up, blood pressure up, more blood to the muscles, ready to fight or run.
Our bodies are so good at switching gears like that, from chill to panic in a second.
It's the power of hormones, changing things throughout the body instantly. So we talked about too much aldosterone. What about not enough cortisol?
Like the opposite of Cushing's syndrome, which is too much cortisol, right?
Right. Cortisol deficiency, often with aldosterone deficiency too, that's Addison's disease. Rare, but the adrenal glands just aren't making enough of these important hormones.
What causes it? Is it the immune system acting up again?
A lot of the time, yeah. Addison's is often autoimmune. The body attacks the adrenal glands so they can't do their job. That means fatigue, weak muscles, low blood pressure, even your skin gets darker.
Skin darkening. That's a new one.
Directly from low cortisol, actually. See, when it's low, your pituitary gland makes more ACTH. That's supposed to boost cortisol. Problem is, ACTH also makes melanin, the stuff that gives skin its color.
So low cortisol, more ACTH, more melanin, darker skin. It all comes back around. Crazy.
Right. Now, we have Addison's with too little cortisol, but then there's Cushing's syndrome with too MUCH.
And Cushing's can be from a bunch of different things, right?
Yep. Most often, it's from taking corticosteroid medications for too long, like prednisone. Those are used for asthma, arthritis, autoimmune stuff.
This is like a side effect of medicine that's supposed to help another problem.
Exactly. Cushing's can also be from a tumor in the pituitary gland, making too much ACTH, which then overstimulates cortisol production. That specific type is Cushing's disease.
So Cushing's syndrome is the general term for too much cortisol, however it happens. But Cushing's disease is only from the pituitary tumor.
You got it. And no matter the cause, high cortisol does a number on you. Weight gain, especially in the face and belly, weak muscles, thin skin, high blood pressure, even getting infections more easily. Your mood and thinking get messed up too. Irritable, anxious, hard to focus.
Cushing sounds like it throws everything off.
It's a mess. Now, one last stop on our endocrine tour, pheochromocytoma. It's a tumor, but a rare one, in the adrenal medulla. Not as famous as the others, but man, its effects are something else.
Okay, you've got my attention. Lay it on me.
Pheochromocytomas, they pop up in the medulla, the adrenaline part of the adrenal gland, remember. These tumors, they can make your medulla pump out way too much adrenaline and norepinephrine, those fight or flight hormones. So you get these sudden, crazy episodes of high blood pressure, heart racing, sweating, headache, anxiety.
Like a surprise panic attack, but it's a tumor causing it.
You got it. And anything can set it off: stress, working out too hard, even just standing up too fast. And the symptoms are like other things: panic attacks, anxiety, so it's hard to diagnose. Usually, they got to rule everything else out first.
Makes sense, but I bet that's scary for the patient while they're figuring it out.
Definitely shows how important it is to get the diagnosis right and to really understand the endocrine system. When it goes wrong, it can really mess you up.
It's wild, right? Our bodies are these finely tuned machines, and hormones are the messengers keeping everything running smoothly.
Great way to put it. And like any machine, your endocrine system needs a little TLC to stay in top shape.
So what are we talking about here? Spill the secrets to happy hormones.
It's not rocket science, thankfully. A lot of it boils down to the basics. Eating right, moving your body, getting enough sleep, managing that
It's
stress.
funny how the simple stuff is often the most important.
Ain't that the truth? Take diet, for example. What you eat, those are the ingredients for your hormones. And some things, like iodine for your thyroid, those are non-negotiable.
Right. Can't build a house without bricks or hormones without the right building blocks.
Exactly. Then there's exercise. Yeah, weight management helps prevent type 2 diabetes, all that. But it also makes your cells better at using insulin, keeps those blood sugar spikes at bay.
Like giving ourselves a workout so they can use those hormones better.
You got it. And don't even get me started on sleep. When you sleep, your body, including your endocrine system, goes into repair mode. Skimp on sleep, your hormones go haywire: weight gain, insulin resistance, mood swings, even thyroid problems.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sleep, stress, food, exercise, hormones. It's like this big web.
Web of life. But the good news is, understanding these connections, how our choices affect our hormones, that puts us in the driver's seat. We can be proactive about our health.
No more relying on willpower alone. It's about knowing the why behind the cravings, the energy crashes, the moodiness, and making choices that help, not hurt.
100%. And it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Small changes, stick with them, big results over time.
Love that. I'm feeling motivated to step up my healthy habits game. How about you? This deep dive really got me thinking.
Me too. And to everyone listening, if this sparked your interest, don't stop here. Keep learning, keep asking questions, keep those hormones happy.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. Until next time.